Erie. It's Monday, August 18th. Welcome back to another Flagship City Sports Talk brought to you by Quickfill. Hey, listen, there's entertainers and there's competitors, and I understand that, but our job is to entertain. I'm glad. I knew Paul was going to get that. Nobody else in the studio knows what I'm talking about.
That's great.
We'll get into some Dylan Gabriel talk later on in the show. Thanks for joining us today. Never alone, thank God. I don't know how, you and Rich pulled off the show last week. You guys did great. I would be flubbing through an episode by myself. So
we got an all football episode, so I feel like it was really easy.
That's when I take the week off, we just want to make it easy for you, Paul. And say, football, Paul, go.
Yeah,
he could go for 2 hours.
pretty much
a day.
I like how you guys had a rundown, put it online. You made a graphic, which is great. Everything always looks good.
Yeah.
And then I'm reading the rundown. It's like, okay, what's my show going to be about? Oh, here's the graphic. And there's a 2-minute drill, and I was like, I'm going to make that all about football. So we'll just extend that all the way out.
Listen, we miss Hallie Parker more and more every day. Our content quality of our social material has drastically gone down. Isaac, has picked up that ball.
He's done great.
Well, don't give him too much credit. He's not here today, so.
I thought we were pandering to Hallie in this segment. Okay.
Oh, yeah, but not Isaac is what I'm saying.
I gotcha.
Anyway, Paul Adamczak, Rich Smith in the studio here this morning. We got a fun show lined up for you today. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff. If you're tuning into the stream, again, follow along with us on YouTube at Gem City Sports Network. You also see newly minted Mercyhurst coach Zach Helsley is hanging out with us this morning. More with him on the next section, but he came early, so we said, hey, we're going to talk some high school football. Come in and hang out with us there, too. So more on Zach later in the show. We are going to cover Week 1 high school football. Starts this week. I'm ready.
Man, I can't wait. This is the time of year that we wait for.
Football.
This is why we lift all them weights.
Football and pepperoni balls. That's what I'm here for. And then, of course, it's Monday, so we're going to get into some Overreaction Monday as well. So, I don't know. Did I miss anything? I took a week off. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I think you'll be okay. It'll come back to you. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the North Shore Rewind. So let's start here. The theme this week, matchups, key storylines to watch, D10 Week 1 preview segment here. And I want to highlight an article that just went out this morning on Go Erie from Tom Reisenweber, and he listed the number 1, the District 10 high school football preseason rankings. So go check that out. There's a lot of really good games going on this weekend. And Week 1 in D10 isn't really easing into anything. We've got some big teams colliding, stars facing off, and, we'll see how this season is going to really stack up to last season. I think last season was such a fun group of stories to follow, from the Zeitz twins to Feliciano and all those different things. Paul, when you look at this Week 1 slate, is there a matchup that screams this game could decide something big down the road?
I think Erie McDowell. That's going to be the big one.
No, Erie Cathedral Prep.
Erie Prep. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm looking down. It's just like city versus suburb. That's what I think. Erie versus Cathedral Prep. Cathedral Prep, they're going to have the big guy back in charge. Mishler's back. He's calling plays. It's going to be fun. Added a bunch of state champions to that coaching staff. They're always tough. Erie's always interesting. It seems like every year, whoever the most talented person on that roster is, obviously either graduates or they transfer out.
Sure.
Not this year, though.
No.
They bring back all the studs, and perhaps the best player on the team is healthy, and he's a senior.
Yeah,
Paul Johnson.
We've
talked about him for a couple of weeks now. I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Right.
He's going to be one of the best players in Erie County. I'm looking forward to watching him.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to how he competes against maybe the standard for high school football in Northwest Pennsylvania, the Cathedral Prep Ramblers. Nobody does it better than Prep historically, and they get a real test Week 1.
No, I agree.
Week 0. I'm sorry.
Week 0. That's right. I should stop saying Week 1. I can't stand the Week 0 stuff. But whatever. No, but I think Paul Johnson, I think the quarterback battle in this one, is the most interesting piece. Paul Johnson takes over at QB, I think he's going to have a potential breakout year this year. I said all last year, I feel like Erie is just a year away. Well, now we're here, and the team, like you said, they brought back a lot of starters. Paul Johnson hopefully ready to take that next step. I think there's going to be fireworks on Friday night. And then on the prep side, you have David Friedman, who returns. He threw for 1,318 touchdowns last year. That's not a small number. So, does he come back a little more polished in the new system? I don't know, but there's going to be fireworks. That game is Friday at 7. over at Dollinger Field in Erie. So that'll be a fun game to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and jump. You mentioned McDowell. So McDowell was one of the teams that I wanted to take a look at this weekend. Not necessarily because they're playing Highland of Ohio, but, you know, if you look at that Reisenweber article, he does have McDowell in Class 4. He kind of lumps 4A and 6A through 6A together, and he has McDowell at the top of that list. I'm curious about this game because they had so many graduating seniors. I don't know. I want to see who's stepping up. You know, when you lose guys like Blaze Myers, Stephon Baby Porter,
James Ziegler.
you know, who those are some heavy hitters. So who's going to come in and replace them? So they open against Ohio, Highland of Ohio, known for their physicality. McDowell is always deep. But I think this is a measuring stick game for them to see what this new system is going to look like.
I mean, first time in 3 years with a new quarterback. So that is going to be interesting. I think maybe the X factor in this game, Bo Orlando's back in the building, baby.
Yeah.
And he's calling plays, not as the head guy anymore. Slocum's going to be the head guy there now. So they got their defensive head coach. They got the offensive mind who doesn't have to worry about anything else other than the offensive side of the ball. I think that's going to be a real boon for the Trojans. And in high school football, the threat of the unknown is so endearing because what's Highland going to prepare for? If they're looking at McDowell film from the last 3 years, they're looking at them flinging the ball around every other play.
Yeah.
Right, and all those guys are gone. So it'll be an entirely new identity for the McDowell Trojans. Looking forward to seeing how they compete in week 1.
Yeah, 0.
I'm sorry, week 0.
That game is go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say another game that I'm looking at, Mercyhurst Prep and Sharon.
Yeah.
And it's actually on Saturday.
Yep.
But that's 2 top-tier programs.
Oh, my gosh. I think that is going to be a heavyweight fight. I mean, you have Sharon, who's always tough, but I want to see, Feliciano. What's Feliciano going to do? I was going to say year 2. It's junior, but I mean, how do you follow up that sophomore year?
I was going to say, how do you top 2,400 yards?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask the guy sitting next to you. I think, we talked about having Zach Helsley in studio. And, Zach, we were talking, you're here to talk about Mercyhurst flag football, but you also just happen to be the career rushing record holder in Erie County with, what was that tattoo we said you were going to get? 5,752 across your bicep. So you hold this career rushing record. I mean, how do you follow up a season like Feliciano had last year? I mean, let's take you back to your time at Mercyhurst Prep. What do you look forward to, or how do you change, or how do you adapt that mindset after you're coming off a phenomenal year?
Yeah, having a year like that's a huge year to have. You just got to go in the off season with that same mentality that you had, that previous year.
Yeah.
Continue to work hard. You trust your offensive line. When you have, Coach Root at Mercyhurst Prep always put together a good offensive line. So, you just got to trust those guys that they're going to do all the dirty work for you and, allow you to, get all those yards and, be the best you can be.
Okay. No, thank you. Sorry, I got distracted because I realized I just blew through Paul's 2-minute drill. But no, I mean, I think that's absolutely right. Is just how do we build up that, last year is the past, push forward, don't worry about last year, worry about this year too. So good insight. We'll get more out of you coming forward. Rapid fire pick'em. Farrell versus Hickory. Oh, that's a huge game.
I was going to say Hickory. They got the better running back.
Farrell, I think, is interesting.
But if I'm wrong, I wouldn't be surprised.
I said this on the Gem City show last week. Go back and check it, or 2 weeks ago now on the podcast. Farrell, this is weird to say, but they had a down year last year. Don't get me wrong, they won districts.
Yeah,
they won the region. But for Farrell as a team, I think it was pretty rough. So I'm excited to see where they come out. Okay, so Erie High Cathedral Prep.
Oh, hard to bet against Prep, but I love Erie this year.
I'm going Erie. I'm going Erie too. I'm getting on the horse before the bandwagon starts. McDowell versus Highland.
I don't know Highland at all, so I'm going to pick McDowell.
McDowell. Wilmington versus Greenville.
Wilmington.
Yeah.
All right. Meadville, Fort LaBeouf.
Ooh. Oh, I like Coach Blow, so I'm going to go Fort LaBeouf.
Meadville.
I'm going Fort LaBeouf. Sharpsville, Girard.
Oh, Piccarelli's got a good fullback, but I love Brooks. Let's go Girard.
GM, Grove City.
GM.
That's another team that I didn't even get to talk about. How do you follow up the Zeitz twin?
Right. Blake Corwin, maybe the best player on the field in that game.
Hey, we got to take a break. When we get back, we are talking with Zach Helsley, Mercyhurst Flag Football. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quickfill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. You know, it's a good morning when I already blow through the 2-minute drill.
We're doing great.
We'll get back into that later on. But what I do want to talk about this segment is we kind of got a full circle moment going on here. Coach Zach Helsley and the rise of the Mercyhurst women's flag football team. Today on the show, we are excited to welcome a guy who's not only making Mercyhurst history, he's living it. Zach Helsley, a former team captain on the Mercyhurst football team, has just been named the first ever head coach of Mercyhurst University's brand new women's flag football program. Zach, you're a hometown guy, Mercyhurst alum, and now they're giving you the keys to build something completely new, not just for the school, but for women's sports here in Erie. Man, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and sit with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me today.
No, absolutely. When we first saw this story come out, we were like, we got to do everything we can to get this guy in studio. So
we've been working on this for a while.
Yes, yeah.
So, long time coming.
So we're excited. And actually, this is kind of fun for us, too, because this kind of closes out our trip around football training camps. You know, we covered all the local college teams, and now we get to wrap up with some women's flag football, which is a lot of fun. Coach, first of all, congrats. This is a huge honor, a huge deal. What was your initial reaction when you found out that you were going to be the one leading this new program at your alma mater?
Oh, to me, it was a total honor, you know, to stay home, stay at Mercyhurst. You know, Mercyhurst has been a special place to me. You know, now to be able to coach at Mercyhurst, it's truly an honor, and I'm just so excited for the whole opportunity to be a part of this. You know, this sport is something. It's super new. You know, it's growing very fast, and you know, to be at the forefront of this movement, it's awesome.
No, I love that, and I mean, I think the full circle moment means a lot too. I mean, you played high school ball at that campus. You starred at Mercyhurst as a linebacker, and now you're the head coach of a women's varsity team. What does this full circle moment mean to you personally?
Oh, it's awesome. You know, like I was just saying, Mercyhurst, it's been a home. You know, being there, I love being there every day. You know, it's the people at Mercyhurst that make that place special. So now to be able to coach there, it's an honor.
Yeah. I mean, Mercyhurst launching the first Division I women's flag football team in Erie. That's a big deal. I mean, let's talk. I mean, the personal side is huge, right? I mean, the honor, absolutely, it's a great feeling for you. But even just stepping back and looking at the sport in general, this is a big deal. How does it feel to kind of be, you know, I won't say this, let's say the face of this milestone that Mercyhurst is trying to overcome or portray, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. You know, this sport it's fairly new. You know, it's rising, it's growing very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot to learn about the sport. You know, there's different rules and stuff about that. You know, to just be a part of this whole thing, you know, just give women an opportunity to play at the next level.
Yep.
You know, earn scholarships and just compete, you know, giving them another opportunity to compete, thrive, and, you know, and shine at the next level of college athletics.
That's cool.
So you take over a brand new program. Not even take over, just here
building.
you go, start something.
It.
Yeah. So I go into it thinking like, okay, how do I replicate someone's past success? But really in this, there is no blueprint to build the right program. So on day one, what did day one look like for you? What was your first thought? What are you trying to lay the groundwork to do? What's block number one to build this thing?
Yeah, day one, you know, we got the team together. So I recruited, you know, went out to Pittsburgh, Cleveland, New York area. Those schools are very big in flag football.
Okay.
You know, started that, you know, built the team. So we're at 20 girls right now. Probably looking to stay there and eventually grow, move up. You know, but right now we're soon to be starting practice in about 2 weeks. We'll have a team meeting in about a week, and we'll lay the ground rules foundation, and then we're right into it, building this team up, building that foundation, and then we're getting ready to play a tournament in November.
Okay.
November. So.
Okay.
That's awesome. I mean, recruiting, I feel like, has to be different, right? I mean, what kind of players are you looking for as you look to recruit this first ever team?
Yeah.
What's that culture you're trying to build? You know?
Yeah. So, you know, any recruit I've had on campus so far, you know, I tell them, obviously I'm looking for athletes, you know, girls that are fast, agile, can play. But I'm also looking for good people, and also girls that, you know, take academics seriously.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be a corner piece of our program. If you can't get it done in the classroom, you can't get it done on the field. So that's a big part of it. But essentially, you know, with flag, it's all about speed and agility. You know, and in tackle football, you know, it's size, strength, and all that. You know, speed matters, but you know, this is a little different, more about speed and agility. You know, offense and defensive line. So that's something different you got to look at, take into account.
You're wearing the hat made me think of this. Does your background in strength and conditioning help you kind of identify some of those things?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I graduated from Mercyhurst with my undergrad in exercise science, and I still do work as a strength coach at Mercyhurst with the football team and women's basketball team. So, but having that background in strength conditioning, it does allow me to really identify, what type of athletes I need, what athletes might need more of.
Yeah.
When it comes to strength conditioning, and yes, it allows me to pinpoint, that girl might be a good fit for us. She's pretty agile, got some speed, so.
Multi-sport athletes, or are you just looking for specifically? Are you looking for only girls who have played flag football before, or are you looking at other sports and like she was a stud in this sport, she can probably play football?
Yeah, no, I have multiple girls on the team right now that are going to be playing other sports at Mercyhurst as well. I have a golfer.
Wow.
I have a softball player that played in the past softball at Mercyhurst, and I have a graduate student actually that played field hockey, club hockey, and lacrosse at Mercyhurst. So it's pretty sweet to have that. And then a lot of the girls that are coming in this year, the newcomers, have all played other sports in the past. So a lot of them are dual sports.
Well-rounded athletes.
Super cool.
The golfer just makes me think of like Happy Gilmore. Like flag football, like just like grabbing somebody else's ball off their tee, and chucking it across the course.
The big thing I tell a lot of the girls is athletes pick up on things quickly.
Yeah.
So with this being a new sport, they'll pick up on it quick. Athletes pick up on things, and we'll be able to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, flag football is exploding across the country, right? There's over 65 colleges that offer it, only 5, including Mercyhurst, that offer it at the D1 level. But I love that the NFL is all in on this too, right? I read a great article from Jeff Uvino that talked about how whenever you guys were looking to start this, the Bills, the Steelers, the Browns were all very supportive. I think I read the flags and the footballs for the team are actually being provided by the Steelers. So what do you think, with all of that growth and that support, what do you think makes it such a fast-growing sport?
Yeah, I think it's just a fast-growing sport because it's giving women another opportunity to compete and, earn scholarships at the next level.
Yeah.
But it's super cool to see the NFL teams, providing all those resources for all these schools. I know Ohio just became a sanctioned high school sport. Football became a sanctioned high school. That happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's on the rise. It's moving quickly. I hope the PIAA does soon. I know they sent out something to all the schools to, kind of see if they get interest for it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that happens soon in the PIAA.
That'd be cool.
So, yep.
My daughter's going into 2nd grade, and she's all about it. She's a soccer player. She loves playing soccer, but she's like, I want to play football. So, she would be right behind you.
Yeah.
It sounds like you got a water girl coming in.
yeah, there we go.
She'd love it.
Coach, we had Coach Ryan Remedio in here last week from Mercyhurst men's football, we'll say. You mentioned him in the article that you were introduced, that he was a big influence on you. What lessons from him will you carry into this role?
Yeah, Coach Remedio he's been a great influence for me. Just as a player and just even a person. He's taught me how to be the leader I am today. I believe he's had a big part of me, stepping into this role and developing into the person I am today. So I can't thank him enough. I still continue to look for him, for guidance with everything. I talk to him on a daily basis. I see him all the time. So I'm still going to look to him for all the guidance. And, just for me as a young head coach, there's a lot to learn. I'll make mistakes.
Sure.
It's just how I learn from those and how I move on and learn. So,
yeah.
No, that's cool. When you think of the sport, you talked about having 20 girls on the team, and you think of, men's football, you need 22 starters altogether. So already there's a glaring difference. For folks unfamiliar with the game, walk us through what that 7-on-7 format looks like. How does scoring work compared to traditional football, things like that?
Yeah, so with 7-on-7 flag, everyone is eligible, including the center. So, yeah, that's a little different. It's a little different.
That is, yeah.
Because now you have to have the center, in pass concepts.
Yeah.
And you have to account for the center and on defense. So that part's a little bit different. It's still the same scoring rules, so there's no kicking, obviously, but there is punting. So you'll score 6 points, and then you can elect for a 1-point extra try or a 2-point. It all depends. There's different leagues, different rules. But those are the rules we'll be going by, which is pretty cool. But yeah, everyone is eligible, which makes it different. Obviously, there's no blocking. There is screen blocking. You have to put your hands behind your back, kind of just mirror the person in front of you. And obviously no tackling.
Not that field hockey girl.
Right.
She's going to
plow
plow through somebody.
Right. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's still football.
Yeah.
And then there's still football concepts on defense and offense.
Mm-hmm.
You're still trying to score. It's the same stuff. So.
Yeah.
So normal size field, played on a regular field surface.
So the field's a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it is 80 yards long by 40 yards wide. So
80
a
by
little
40.
bit smaller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Mercyhurst have a field, or do you just
No.
kind of mark off?
We'll be marking it off.
Okay.
We'll put new lines down.
Okay.
So.
Position wise, offense, defense, do you have players that are going to be offense only and defense only, or are there going to be some two-way starters?
With this first year, we're gonna have girls going both sides
Okay.
of the ball, playing both ways. Eventually, I would like to do, these girls are only on offense, these girls are playing only
Sure.
defense.
Specialists.
Kind of specialize in your position. Eventually, I'd hope to get to that point.
Yeah.
Maybe next year into the years coming. But right now, both sides, they're gonna be playing both ways. So
Interesting. So
Yep.
is there any handoffs? Is there running in this?
there is, yeah. You don't see it too often, but you can run the ball out of jet sweeps. Option.
Sure.
Stuff like that. You might see some handoffs, but some direct snaps. You can see
Yeah.
that to the running back. Just
Okay,
get some
well, I was
quick
going to say,
yards.
since the center's eligible, can you just snap
Yeah.
to the QB and go?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you can. High school rules are a little different.
I was going to say, I'm familiar with the high school 7-on-7s where it's kind of thud, not
Yep,
really
yep.
flag, but it's similar but different,
Yep.
and obviously the center's not eligible. Schematically, how does this? How do you make this work? Is it like a West Coast? We're trying to get everything out real quick and.
Essentially, we're going to be running a lot of West Coast
Okay.
spread offense, defense a lot, probably a lot of man, some zone in there.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
man.
going to be fun. I'm
Coach,
excited.
Forward to this.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time and coming to hang out with us. We will absolutely be keeping an eye on you and the team, and we're excited to keep covering you along the way.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, before we take our next break, I want to take a second and thank all of our sponsors, Quick Fill, Dauber Auto Supply, John's Wildwood Pizza, and Serco Industrial Supply. Without them, we wouldn't be here for you. When we get back, we are overreacting to some Week 2 preseason. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Man, that was such a cool story. Like, I think this is going to be...
Those interviews go by so fast.
Oh, my gosh. Rich starts giving us 2 minutes, and I'm like, wait, I had like 10 more questions.
Right.
No, but again, big thanks to Coach Helsley for joining us. I mean, definitely make sure you keep an eye on Mercyhurst this spring as women's flag football makes its debut in Erie, and maybe, just maybe, start something big for the next generation of female athletes. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to keep an eye on.
I love it. I'm excited.
While we're going back in time in the show, let's go back to the A block because I totally blew through your 2-minute drill, and I want to make sure that we spend some time on that because there's a lot of good nuggets that we don't get to get into every week, and plus you put the work in. So
I was going to say, I put it together. Might as well read it, right?
All right, before we get into some Overreaction Monday, here is Paul's 2-minute drill.
All right, former Villa Maria standout and 5-time WNBA All-Star Kayla McBride had 17 points in 34 minutes when the Minnesota Lynx defeated the defending champion New York Liberty 86-80 Saturday night. The 11-year veteran and 5-time All-Star experiencing some memory loss issues as of late. K-Mac and the Lynx seem to have forgotten how to lose, guys. They've now won 6 straight and sit alone in first place, 6.5 games ahead of Atlanta. Penn State Barron has named Jared Marks its new women's head volleyball coach. Marks spent last season at Christian Brothers University and previously led St. Agnes Academy to 6 straight state tournament appearances, including a 2023 runner-up finish. Gannon men's soccer has been picked unanimously to win the PSAC West in the 2025 preseason coaches poll. Under 7th-year head coach Billy Colton, the Golden Knights return All-Americans Severi Orton and Powell Ferrer, along with goalkeeper Andre Moraes, after a 14-4-3 season and NCAA Super Regional run. Mercyhurst women's hockey added Natasha Hawkins as an assistant coach. The Kingston, Ontario native spent last season at St. Scholastica after leading Northland College to its best record since 2019. A former New England College player with a master's from Merrimack, she brings experience in recruiting, player development, and strength training. And finally, playing as the Moon Mammoths, Erie survived a wild 12-inning battle on Friday. Jake Holton's early 2-run blast staked a lead. Carlos Mendoza tied it with a solo shot, and Max Clark delivered the winning RBI single in the 12th before scoring on a wild pitch. Yosber Sanchez induced a game-ending double play to ensure the 7-5 victory. Erie split the series with Chesapeake 3-3. The Moon Mammoths make a return tomorrow night against Harrisburg. Look at that, 2 minutes on the nose. I'm getting better, man.
It's a shame it's almost over. We'll talk about that later.
Let's overreact.
Let's overreact to some more football because, like you said earlier, if we get to talk football, it's a good day.
That's right.
And you know what? I was watching preseason football on Saturday. We got home from vacation, and I just kind of vegged out on the couch. You know, the travel day takes a lot out of you. So I was like, oh, we're just going to watch some football. Steelers game was on. My wife
I just tell my wife I'm working. What are you doing? Are you watching sports again? No, honey, I'm working.
That is the benefit of this show. But my wife walks in, and she goes, so why is football's on? It's a little early, right? I'm like, no, baby, fall is here. Let's go. So because of that week 2, we have a lot of stuff we want to overreact to. And Isaac could not be here today, but he did send in some overreaction topics for us to debate, and I've added some other ones here as well. So let's start here. We'll go over to Cleveland. You know, I mentioned I picked on
no overreactions taking place in Cleveland.
I mentioned, the comment from Dylan Gabriel, who had a great showing on the game on Saturday. You know, during the game, he said there's entertainers and their competitors, and I understand that, but our job is to compete. And a lot of people took that as a shot towards Shedeur, and he quickly turned that around in the post-game press conference and said, no, he was talking about the media wanting the players to be entertainers, and, you know, he was just talking about the competitors. So when you look at this quarterback controversy that's happening in Cleveland, here's my first Overreaction Monday topic for you, that Dylan Gabriel will play for a different NFL team by the end of this season.
No, that's an overreaction. I think they keep both the rookies. I think the odd man out right now is Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
Who hasn't played a snap in preseason. He was first on the depth chart until he wasn't. Hurt the hamstring about 3-4 weeks ago now. We haven't really seen him in action. He's done a little bit of 7-on-7 stuff in practice, but that's all non-contact. You know, wearing the red jersey, can't touch him. Don't have to move around a whole lot. I mean, he's in the meetings. He's still there. He's still present. He was a first-round draft pick a couple of years ago by your Pittsburgh Steelers, so we know he has the physical capability. But with what Cleveland has invested in the quarterback room, I think bringing Joe Flacco back tells you what they think about Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
It's kind of one of those, we brought him in, hey, if it works out, great. If not, we're going to have a veteran who can lead this room.
Yeah.
And then they invested 2 draft picks in QBs. You can call them throwaways. Hey, draft a QB every year. If they work out, great. If not, oh, well, it's just one pick. And then both those QBs have had really nice preseasons. And then we get into the contract stuff. You're only allowed to spend so much money per season for the cap number. Who's the odd man out in that room? We've got 2 cheap young options, or we've got the one more expensive option. I hate to say it because I don't dislike Kenny Pickett. I think he's said all the right things. When he's been on the field, he's done a lot of good stuff. I think he probably has the highest trade value, and the Cleveland Browns are going to want to keep their 2 young guys.
And you don't need him for the veteran leadership because you have Flacco.
You've got a 41-year-old Flacco.
I don't know. I just think if there's a team, like he played really well this weekend. Gabriel did. And
he looked good. I mean, he looked the way he looked at the Senior Bowl. He looked the way he looked at Oregon. There's a lot of people who are overreacting to the fact that he was a 3rd-round draft pick. I was one of the ones who was not surprised. No, that's about right for his talent. He was drafted into the 3rd. If he was 6'2", okay, we're talking about a 1st-round talent. He's 5'10" in cleats, and I get that that's small for the NFL. But the talent is there. The brain is there. You talked about the one quote he had, entertainers versus competitors, and that was clipped out of an entire
it was ridiculous.
Long media session in which he's a very thoughtful, well-spoken, kind of quiet young man. But like you can see why they drafted him where he did.
Yeah. No,
So-
I mean, I'm not trying to understate what he's done or even what Shador did. Shador looked great in week 1 as well.
I still think Shador looked better, personally.
Yes, I agree. I would agree with that too. So that's what makes me think like, okay, well, if the Rams, who there's supposed to be an announcement that comes out today about Stafford's status, there's rumors he needs back surgery. If he needs back surgery, he's done.
Yeah.
So that leaves you with Stetson Bennett, who played well over the weekend, and then you had
Isn't it Garoppolo?
Garoppolo is their primary backup. But if they turn around to Cleveland and say, hey, we'll offer you X player and a 5th-round pick, I think the Browns would at least have to entertain it because it's going to be tough to carry 4 into the playoffs. And don't forget they have Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley on the team too.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm just going to ignore that. I will say this. The trade scenario that comes to mind when I think if you want to get one of those quarterbacks, pluck them from Cleveland. It's going to have to be the type of deal that Houston offered Miami when they went and got Laramie Tunzel.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a guy that we don't want to trade.
An offer you can't refuse.
But you look at it on the board, and the guy walks into the room, and you go, yeah, I'd trade me for that too. You're going to have to blow them away.
Yeah.
And I don't foresee that happening.
I don't know if there's a team right now anyway that's ready to do that.
should
I mean,
somebody-
especially you have, the Giants are shopping Jameis, Kirk Cousins is still out there. There's different options that are maybe a little more secure than what a Dylan Gabriel
I just
would
don't
bring
think
you.
you're trading assets for a backup quarterback.
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. And I think you're right. I think Pickett is the odd man out there too. All right, let's stick in Cleveland for a second. This is one from Isaac. The Browns' defense will be enough to win them at least 7 games this year.
Boy, what's the official? The Vegas over/under is 4.5. I was picking the over on that. I do. I think that defense is really underrated. The secondary is tremendous. Their top 2 corners. I should say this. Their number 2 corner, Greg Newsome, would be the number 1 corner on at least half of the NFL defenses.
Yeah.
So the secondary is stacked. We know about the front 7. The linebacking group was going to be the weakness of this defense, and it looks like they found an absolute stud in Carson Schlesinger, the second-round pick.
Yep.
He has been all over the field. He looks like a 100-tackle guy. So at all 3 levels, they've got dudes. 2 years ago, that Jim Schwartz defense was amazing. Last year took a step backward. A lot of injuries, a lot of player movement around. I think this year they really get that side of the ball stabilized. If that team can run the ball and basically possess the ball more than the opponent, I think they're going to win more than they lose. Cleveland is going to be a very tough out. That's all I can say.
No, I think so too. I mean, you figure last year they won 3 games, and their defense They won 3 games last year, and they played the NFL's hardest 2024 schedule based off of opponents' DVOA. But the defense held up reasonably well. They had some close games that were in there. When you look at their schedule this year, and I would argue that their defense got better with all the players like you just talked about, and they have a rough open to the season: Cincy, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota. That's a rough 5-game stretch to start, especially if you're starting Shador or Flat, any of them really. But if you're going to start one of the rookies, that's a tough 5-game stretch. But then you got Pittsburgh, New England, Jets, Vegas. There's a lot of games in the middle of the season that I think they could possibly pull out 7 wins. I mean, if they can be, I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's reasonable, not crazy. With an average defense and normal injury luck, 7 wins I think is a fair baseline for this team. And that's not even considering the offense. That's just looking at the defense. So if the offense, no matter who's at quarterback, can be merely average, I think they can pull off if they can play that slow Stefanski run style offense. Dylan Sampson supposedly looks great with Judkins kind of.
Pierre Strong had a nice weekend too. 13 carries, 89 yards.
If they can play smart football on offense, I think there is a chance that they could pull off 7 wins this year.
I agree, and they opened the season with Cincinnati. The Bengals are notoriously slow starters, so a good week to get the Bungles.
They may pull off more than Pittsburgh, but we'll talk about that when we come back. Ooh. When we come back, we have some more overreacting due to the NFL Week 2 preseason games. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill.
You're getting good at these teas.
Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Little Browns notes in the past. Again, if you miss anything, you missed a great interview with Zach Helsley as well. Make sure you go back and check the podcast, Gem City Sports Network, anywhere you get your podcasts. All right. So I said about the Browns winning 7 games. And I said that might be more than the Steelers' wins this year, because I think the Steelers' defense will finish bottom 10 in the NFL this season. Overreaction?
Did somebody replace Nick during the break here? Really?
I really do.
Is that Isaac just didn't write that down and make you read it?
No, one's mine. This one's mine. I
must have lost a bet.
No. I just think that. Well, first off, overreaction or not?
Okay, I think that's an overreaction.
Okay.
I'll start by saying this. I said in the last segment that I think the Browns defense is very good, and I do. I believe that. I will say this. I think the Steelers defense is even better than the Browns defense that I like. They're strong at all 3 levels. They've got playmakers everywhere. They've got youth and experience.
Yeah.
I think at least one of the players on defense is ridiculously overpaid, but that's neither here nor there. But I think that cornerback room is incredible. I think probably the weakness of that defense is the safety room. So
Yeah.
big plays could be a problem, but you've got some press man corners on the outside there, man. I think the Steelers defense is going to be good. I think it's going to be the same as last year. They're going to keep that offense in games. If I have a question with the Steelers, it's the offense. And it's not the quarterback, it's not the receivers, it's not the running backs. It's the offensive line.
Yeah. Here's my argument for why I think they could very well end up in the bottom 10. That defense looks great on paper. You haven't seen they've done well at training camp, but it was kind of, in my opinion, a glaring hole when you saw the joint practices last week with the Bucs and you saw the game this weekend. Granted, most of the starters didn't play. That if you get past the starters, this team is a very weak defense.
That could be said for anybody.
I hear you. And I think Harmon is a lone bright spot. I really like that pick. He looked really good on Saturday night's game. Keanu Benton doesn't do anything. Cameron Hayward, this whole contract situation is just starting to get murkier and murkier. He had...
that is a concern, I'll give you that. If he doesn't end up playing a large chunk of the year, I think the Steelers defense will be fine, but definitely not as dominant.
No, that defensive line is already thin with him and Harmon. Take out one of them, and it's Yahya Black, who I like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but Isaiah
But he's not
Loudermilk,
Cam Hayward.
He's
Yeah.
not Cam Hayward. The outside linebackers, Highsmith has not been the same pass rusher since getting that big contract.
Okay.
So I'm worried, can he come back to form? Nick Herbig, who's the backup outside there, I like him a lot, but he's the backup. He's not playing a lot. What does TJ Watt do with this new contract? There's been rumors they're going to move him from left to right, but he only plays right because he doesn't play as well on the left. So what are you going to do with that? And then the cornerback room looks great on paper. But I worry that Slay and Ramsey have lost too much. There was the only clip I saw in the report that I saw of Ramsey playing in the joint practices was when he faced off against Mike Evans, and Mike Evans burned him.
Yeah.
So,
I told you weeks ago, he's
Not
not
who he used
Jalen
to
Ramsey
be.
from 2020,
No.
2021.
But I think you could say
But-
that for most of the players on this defense, which is why I think they could very well end up in bottom 10.
But if you told me Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey are my CB 2 and 3, I feel really good about it.
Sure.
Joey Porter is an ascending player. He's
Right.
not.
Oh, no, I
he's
like
not at the
Porter.
plateau, and he's not on the decline. So
Yeah.
you still have an A1 alpha dog CB1, which, like I said, 32 out of 32 NFL teams want that guy on their roster.
Yeah.
He might be CB2 to Pat Surtain Jr. That's about it, right?
Right.
But I feel really good about the DB room. And I warned you, Ramsey's not going to be your mano-a-mano. He's going to, travel both sides and
Yep.
take away the number one receiver. He's not going to be that.
Right.
But he's a great inside player. He's a great blitzer. You can't take away the brain. He knows a lot of football. The athleticism is waning a bit,
Sure.
but he's still good. And Slay, last time we saw him, he was on the field, played well during the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah.
I mean, another guy with a great brain, a lot of experience. The physicals are going away, but, if you can make... Pittsburgh had a guy by the name of Ryan Clark for years who was a lesser athlete but was in the right spot
Right.
at the right time. And he
Complimented Palomalu well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think they can get a lot of that out of the secondary.
I'm just worried that they're overpaid and over the hill. We'll leave it at that. All right. Sticking with... which way do I want to go? There's a good Derek Harmon one there. Here's another Isaac one. Roman Wilson, not DK,
I
will
read
be the
this one.
Steelers wide receiver 1 this year.
I don't know how you read that without laughing. Go ahead.
Roman Wilson flashed explosive playability in the Bucs game. 2 catches for 72 yards. He had a 42-yarder and then a 30-yard catch and run. Through 2 preseason games, he's 4 for 96 per ESPN. Metcalf, in fact, is the Steelers' number 1 wide receiver. He's going to pace the room in targets, receptions. If you're following along with training camp, he may have 100 targets this year from Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers is looking for him in almost every situation. So Wilson looks like a real wide receiver 2 field stretcher. Could he be wide receiver 1 by target share if DK's lane, maybe he gets a little more clogged? Still laughing. Okay.
I'm still laughing. I looked up Roman Wilson's career stats in college.
Oh, okay.
In
I was
college
gonna
career stats. Any guesses?
No.
107 career receptions, 1,707 career yards, 20 career touchdowns. That was DK Metcalf 3 years ago.
That's true. That's
Against
true.
NFL DBs.
Yeah.
If this would have to be one of those weird advanced metrics things where technically against zone coverage when they're off man and 3rd down and 5 yards plus and the DBs are playing this shade, technically Roman Wilson's wide receiver 1 in that situation. but he's not. DK is the man in that room. I think Pittsburgh would love Roman Wilson to step up and be wide receiver too. I have yet to see it.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think he's a fine role player. I don't think he's going to – I think it's an overreaction as well. DK is going to be the dog in the offense. And I still don't – I still think there's an opportunity. I heard this on 93.7 The Fan out of Pittsburgh this morning. It could be the reason they're not giving Hayward this contract yet is because they're trying to finagle something else. Is it a move for McLaurin? Is it a move for another receiver that they're trying to make a move on and they need a little bit of extra money first before they give it to Hayward? So I think there's an opportunity that they bring in another receiver anyway, and Wilson would be a great wide receiver 3. Not a 1, that's for sure.
I think we're to find out in the next 7-8 days. I believe next Tuesday at 4 p.m. is when rosters have to be cut down to 53 players. So there's going to be a mass exodus next Monday and Tuesday following the preseason games.
Steelers play Thursday this week.
Okay, so they're going to have a lot of time to evaluate that roster and see who gets cut.
All right, let's jump to Buffalo. This year, Josh Allen repeats as NFL MVP.
Man, that's tough. He's going to have to.
Oh,
He's going to have to. I don't think that's an overreaction. No. I think there's a lot of guys going to be in contention if he stays healthy. I looked this up during the break. I asked, I said, has Allen ever really missed games in the NFL? I haven't recalled. Turns out he's missed 4 total games in his career, all of them his rookie year.
Yeah.
So he hasn't missed games since, what was that, 2017?
Yep.
And after that, he had that...
2018,
I'm sorry. He missed like a drive last year, 2 years ago, when he got hit in the head, and then he had to get evaluated on the sideline, and then he was fine. He was right back in. So he doesn't miss games, and I think we discussed he's going to have to be that kind of Iron Man for the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
The defense is very stout, but the offensive line is great. But everything around Allen, playmaker wise, is a bit subpar. So he's going to have to be Superman. He's going to have to be that MVP level QB that we've kind of gotten used to seeing in order for them to have those Super Bowl aspirations.
Wide receiver room is still in flux. I don't know that their efficiency can hold up. James Cook, I think, is an average running back, got paid. If Allen gets injured, this team may not make 7 wins. The Browns may have a better season. And he's getting a little older too, right? Like, I think what's most surprising about Josh Allen's Iron Man career so far is because of the style of football that he plays. He is that rusher. He is going to dive headfirst for the touchdown. That gets, as you saw with a guy like Big Ben in Pittsburgh, that gets harder and harder and harder as you get older.
Yep.
He's age 29 season, right? I mean, I'm 38 and got up from a chair and threw my back out last week. Not that I'm in the same shape of Josh Allen, but that sort of durability gets harder and harder and harder as you get older. If he takes one bag hit, if he happens to go out, to your point, it's either MVP season for them to be successful, or we're looking at a team with a losing record at the end of the year.
You took the words right out of my mouth when you mentioned Big Ben. That all or nothing, lay it on the line play style is awesome, especially when they're a younger player. And then, as we saw with Big Ben, he kind of, the injuries started to stack up. You don't stay healthy as easily as long. So I don't know if, hey, adjust your play style, Josh, so you can play for another decade is the right advice, because he's experienced his best success when he's playing wide open, full throttle, just going for it. And we've said on this show many times, he is the biggest running threat on that team.
Yeah.
So take away the threat of his legs, he's not the same quarterback. They're not the same offense. So it's going to be very, very interesting. If he stays healthy, the Bills are as good as anybody. They've got a good shot. But if Allen goes down, defense be darned. It doesn't matter. The Bills are going to falter.
The Bills lost 38-0 to the Bears last night, and McDermott has already called out the team and saying this can't happen.
Yeah.
They could already be, signs of being in trouble. It was preseason. There's an overreaction in here that should preseason games even matter. Let's put a pin in that, because I think that's a great conversation to have next week. But I want to cut us out a little bit early, because I want to just, I don't know, this is hard for me to say, I think, but for today's show, Flagship City Sports Talk has been a blessing for me over the last couple of years. And after 2 years of covering Erie sports together, we are going to have to, unfortunately look at moving forward, how things are going to move forward. Unfortunately, next week is going to be our last show, but I do want to mention this is on our own accord. We're not being canceled. Next week will be our final show. We've just reached a point where our personal lives, our scheduling makes it tough to keep bringing this program week after week and be able to keep it to the standard that you as the fans really deserve and listen to. big shout out. We can't thank you enough, the fan, for riding along with it through all of our overreactions, our hot takes, and our game breakdowns, 2-minute drills. But don't worry, this isn't goodbye to Erie Sports. Make sure you keep following along with Talk Erie and the Gem City Sports Network for continuing coverage. For now, we'll see you back here next week for our farewell edition of Flagship City Sports Talk. It's going to be a special one. You are not going to want to miss it. Thanks again for listening, and as always, keep supporting local sports. That's it. We're done. Have fun.